Hey everybody, you probably can tell it's a bright and beautiful morning. I wanted to come out here to the hive at my in-laws place. It's currently sitting as a deep and 3 mediums, and I want to get it down to at least a deep and a medium, which means I'm going to want to harvest two of the boxes worth of honey. I was in there last time about a week ago, and everything was cool. They were just motoring along. They had accepted the queen that I put in there. I did a direct release. Didn't do any of that on video. It was all kind of happened. Well, I guess I'll tell the story real quick. So I had a queen. I came over here to do a split, and through some investigation determined that they were queenless. So rather than doing a split, I just did I introduced that queen that I brought over. The challenge I had there was I didn't have any way to give her a delayed release, and I was a little bit nervous that they wouldn't accept her, but it was a homemade queen. Not that she didn't have any value, but I didn't pay any real money for her. So I thought, well, if it works, great. If it doesn't, then we could try again. But last time I was in here, to get to that point, last time I was in there, I did find her. She was laying, so obviously accepted. But this configuration is too much to go through, and frankly too much to handle. So what we're going to do today, we're going to go through, we're going to find the queen again, and then we are going to confine her to the bottom deep that's just off camera and this tan medium, and then we're going to put the excluder beneath the gray box and the brown box. So let's get started. We just got done with the brown box, and queen was not in there. There was some nectar in various stages and brood in various stages, and so what we'll do now is we'll just take this box and set it off to the side. One thing that I wanted to point out was I had a friend of mine, and he was telling me, I was telling him about that story. If you saw the video where I was getting lit up, I think it was this hive that were pretty cranky that one day. And he gave me some good advice, which was to carry an extra, or in my case, I'm going to carry an extra inner cover. And I'm going to, when I set this top brown box off, I'm going to put one of the inner covers over, either the one from the hive or the one that I brought. And that way you kind of keep those bees in there. Keep them quiet and keep them from stinging you, which is not pleasant. I made it down to the bottom without finding anything. So now we'll just go through the bottom and see what we can see. Could probably just do the excluder now, but I got some things I want to do that maybe changed a little bit since I started this inspection today. I found that I did, I've been using this hive as pretty much as a resource hive. And so that I've been putting a lot of frames in that were undrawn. And I'm wondering if I don't even have a box worth of undrawns between those 3 boxes of mediums that I could pull out. That would change our strategy a little bit. Now I said I could probably just put the excluder on the bottom, but you don't assume that you saw her, or don't assume that you missed her. Assume that she was, I guess let me say, just don't assume anything. And take that time and be sure before you commit and you end up making a mistake. Very little in beekeeping is irreversible. So if you did make that mistake, okay, and the queen's above the excluder, well, you didn't break anything or ruin anything. You just forced her to lay where you wanted honey, and then you can't be too surprised if instead of a honey harvest you can't do it because of the brood that's in there. So that's a long way to say we're just going to keep on trucking. Might reduce some frames out, but I really I want to find her. Did see eggs, so I mean, in worst case scenario, as of last 3 days, she was present. That bird is crazy. Anyway, kind of a long way to say we're just going to keep on trucking. Come back in a little bit. Okay, did find the queen. To be honest, the brood pattern is not what you see when you see all the people putting on their queens on Facebook. It's not wall to wall, but it's certainly present. She is going back and filling out hatched cells with eggs. She's just keep walking around and bobbing around. She has gotten a little larger as she's matured. So this frame looks okay. It's got pollen, it's got some honey, got some open brood, cap brood, brood in all stages. So now what we'll do is we'll take back to those mediums. We'll take the broody mediums, which I think was the top or maybe the second box down. We'll put that on top of this deep. We'll exclude her then. And then we'll look and see if we can consolidate based off of the amount of frames that we have versus the amount of frames they need. So that queen's right on the end bar there, which I don't love, but there she goes back in the hole. All right, we can put this deep back. I think what we'll do, so here, see this is an undrawn, totally undrawn, not very useful to that queen at all in its present stage. So since we're limiting her, I don't want to give her an undrawn. What's she gonna do with that? She's not gonna draw it. So here's a beautifully drawn but empty. We'll put in there for her. And looking down, everything else in this box is at least drawn. Okay, so now what we'll do, smoke them down. We know that the queen's in the bottom two boxes. Just a second to talk about the excluder. So this is a plastic one. There's metal, there's a lot of different styles, but it all comes down to the queen and drones cannot get through these slots, but workers can. So just goes on top of your box that you want to keep her below, and then you'll start stacking your boxes on top of that. Any brood that does happen to be above the excluder can hatch and workers can get through, but the drones, sorry fellas, it's history class. It's not uncommon you'll find some dead drones on top of your excluder because they're too big to fit. this box had more honey in it already. Fewer undrawn frames, so we're gonna stack this one hard with as many drawn frames as we can get. Even if it has brood, we're not too worried about it. Put the brood back in. Because once that brood hatches, then they'll be, like I said, they'll come down through the excluder on their own as young bees. This is undrawn wax medium here. This one here is blown out and put in there just as a holder. Another frame with some brood on it. The nice thing about the brood too, the brood will force the bees to come up and be in here. You know, bees, you read a lot about bees being, or these excluders being honey excluders is what some people will call them, and that's whatever, you know, you call them whatever you want. But sometimes bees don't want to cross an excluder, like for whatever reason. So you make them cross it because it's got brood, and they'll go up to the brood. Now, this is a good packed honey frame. So yeah, the bees have a powerful urge to take care of the brood. Otherwise they might not come up here. So we're gonna look at what we got left, and I think it's all empties, honestly. So what we'll do, see, like this frame, why leave it? Okay, so we got a whole box full of either undrawn or drawn but empty off the hive. Now we're gonna call this top box will be the honey box, and when we come back, no reason honestly to come back for a while. Verified you queen right, verified eggs and brood in all stages. We've got them set up how we want, and now just set it and forget it. So I hope you found that useful. If you have any comments or questions, please leave those below. Other than that, thanks for watching.